Good day, everyone. Thank you for joining me on another episode of Ned's Healing Sanctuary. I hope that you're having a healthy and peaceful day today, or you had one. Before we get into our topic today, I just wanted to reiterate to anybody, if I've said anything in past episodes, or if I will say anything in this episode that goes against your personal beliefs, please don't worry about it. Just file it away for another time. The core concepts that we're sharing um, relate to thinking positively and feeling positively and being authentic um, and coming from a place of love. Those are the main concepts that we're really trying to get everybody to accept and adopt. So everything else is secondary right now. Just keep following the path. Okay? Thanks. All right. So today, I thought we'd talk about relationships, which are obviously a core to our existence here on earth. Um, they are a path toward personal growth and spiritual evolution. So let's get started. So first, I thought we'd review the concepts that we've shared thus far in case anybody's jumping in midstream here to this video. So the main thing is focus on positivity. Okay. Monitor your thoughts, make sure that they're positive. Why? Because it's very important that we're putting out the right information and prayer to the universe. There's a thing called the universal law of attraction. And what that says is that whatever you focus on is what will be reflected back to you in your life. So if you focus on the negative, if you focus on lack, if you focus on negative emotions, that's what you're going to get more of. So we want to make sure that we're thinking positively. That will lead to positive actions, and that will lead to positive emotions. Okay? You can't go wrong if you act out of love in any situation. It does not matter what it is. You don't even have to ask yourself if it's right or wrong. If you act out of love, you're acting the way God would want you to act, the way God acts himself. Okay? So let's keep that as our tenet, as our universal law. Act out of love. Okay? Authenticity. You must also learn to love yourself and forgive yourself, because if you're not able to do that, then you're not going to be able to do that for other people either. If you judge yourself too harshly and you don't forgive yourself when you act in a way that you did not want to act, then you're not going to be able to reciprocate to anybody else outside of you. All right, so it's imperative that you understand that we're here to learn and that you may not always react the way that you want, but take it as a learning opportunity. Trust me, you're going to have millions of them. Okay, so let that one go. Learn from it. When it comes up again, do the right thing. So this will align you with your higher self and with God. And that way, you won't be incurring additional guilt. So this will all result in happier and healthier lives. And if you're able to keep this up for an extended period, years, then you're going to be only removing karma and not incurring any new karma, which means you're going to get closer and closer and closer to that high vibrational frequency that we're looking for. Okay? That'll give you more spiritual powers, more belief in yourself, and you can become a spiritual healer just because of what you believe. Ultimately, this will awaken you to who your true identity is. All right, that's what our path is. So I'm just going to reiterate that every time, every episode, so that we're on the same page. All right, let's talk about soul groups and relationships. So there's a book I read a long time ago called Journey of Souls by Michael Newton. There's a sister book called Destiny of Souls as well. And in this book, Newton, who is a therapist, accidentally stumbled upon a way to hypnotize people back into past lives. Okay, he was trying to take people back to where they initially had a trauma happen, right, in early childhood, and then they had anxiety or some other negative emotion stuck with them. So one time he did that, and the higher self took them back to a past life when that trauma actually happened. May have been 2, 3, 4 lifetimes ago. I don't recall exactly, but that's how he stumbled upon this, and that's how he started doing it to many, many people in his books. And they're all case studies, if you will, of each of the people that he regressed. The first book, I think, has 29, And then the second book has additional cases that tell you of what happens in between our lives, from the deathbed until you're born again. So very interesting reads. I definitely recommend them. But what he discovered from these spirits that spoke to him while they were hypnotized is that we have between 3 and 20 spirits in a soul group on the spirit plane. And these groups incarnate together. And we choose to incarnate as various roles. Like, for instance, one lifetime, you may have a sister. She could have been your mom in a past life, okay? Or your grandma, or your boss, if they played a prominent role in your life. Again, this is how it works. We play different roles. One time you're a cousin, next time you're your son, next time a granddad, so that you can have a 360-degree view, a perspective of being all of these roles in different scenarios. Like one, may be powerful and wealthy one life, another life you're just an average Joe, and then a life after that, maybe you're destitute, living, looking for scraps of food. It just depends on the circumstances that you're in. And so the soul group usually are family connections. Okay, that's why family is so important. You cannot divorce them, right? So if you have multiple broken relationships within your family, that's a problem, because you're destined to meet these people again. And if you don't fix it, it's just going to keep happening. That's what's called a negative karmic cycle. That's what you want to avoid. So if you go into every interaction as being authentic, as being acting out of love, you're going to more easily be able to resolve the karma and remove it, rather than adding new karma when you meet someone. Not meet, I mean interact with someone. Okay, so just keep that in mind. When you're going to interact with someone, don't bring all the baggage with you. Try to make it like it's the first time you're interacting with them. You don't know them. Okay, don't harbor negativity, because then you're going charged up and tense, and you're almost guaranteed that you're going to add more karma because of the way that you're going to react. All right, so keep it simple, relax, come from a place of authenticity, from a higher self. And even if they're not relaxed, and if they're tense, and if they're negative, you don't have to be. Stay calm. Okay? Stay calm. Address the question, address the conflict, and work through the karma. Okay? That should be the top of mind. Every interaction is a chance to remove karma. Evolution and learning. So these people usually in a soul group have a similar goal in mind. Okay? And it allows them to have, similar perspectives, makes it a little bit easier to get along and arrive at that final goal together. That's the whole objective of the soul group. It doesn't always work. It's because you make plans in the spirit world, and in the spirit world, we don't have an ego, we don't have a devil. So those best laid plans sometimes fail here because we have an ego and we have a devil here. And so that sometimes interferes with what we're trying to achieve. And we don't behave the way that we would have expected ourselves to behave because of this guy, the devil, the ego. Okay? Let's talk about relationships as catalysts for spiritual growth. So many times people bring in past hurts or traumas from other relationships, or even from past lives, into this relationship. And that leads to cycles of conflict. So what can you do in that situation? Well, the person that has brought that with them is harboring negativity towards you. Okay? So they're biased against you. So that's a difficult situation to be in. But you can't judge a book by its cover, because you don't have all the information. In fact, you probably have less than 1% of the information. You don't know the history, right? So it's not safe for you to just react to what you see, because you're just going to incur more karma. All right. So if this person is in fact bringing that negativity toward you, again, come from a place of authenticity, of love. Try to understand where they've been and what they're going through from their perspective, and that will help you resolve it more. So let's take this as an example. Let's say you meet somebody, not meet, but you're at a gathering, right? You know all the people. And one of the people is this person that has negativity towards you. Let's call him Biff. Okay. So let's say Biff is talking to a bunch of other people you know, and you're in the group, and he just gives you a backhanded compliment, just slanders you right in front of everybody, and just keeps going like it never happened. So one thing that you could do is don't do anything. Okay, he hurt you. You didn't confront him. You leave. You have negativity in your heart and in your mind, and it just keeps festering. And then you decide, oh, I'm going to be passive aggressive. I'm going to cut him off. So Biff is trying to call you and text you. You're not having it. I'm cutting him off. It makes me feel good. He deserves it. I'm punishing him. But you're actually punishing yourself. Why? Because of all this negativity and guilt that you have, because of the way that things happened. Your higher self did not want you to do that. Your higher self wants you to resolve the issue. So when you don't do that, you go against your higher self, you're going to incur guilt and more karma. Okay? So you're punishing Biff. He doesn't know what's going on or why you've cut him off. And you've, in the meantime, built up that negativity as well in your heart. So let's look at a second way to address it. Let's say he just gave you that backhanded compliment and, slandered you in front of everybody. So what if you pulled him aside one-on-one, all right, and just say, hey, Biff, you said this about me, and I interpreted it this way. You hurt my feelings. Did I do something to earn this relationship from you, the way you're treating me? And Biff is going to be like, oh, no, of course not. I respect you. I love you. And I'm like, so why are you talking about me like this? Why are you saying these things about me? And he's like, well, I really don't know. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. He doesn't know why he's saying those things. Why? Because it probably came from a long time ago and he doesn't even remember, but he just brought it with him. So confront him in a positive way like you did, and then tell him, listen, Biff, I don't appreciate you talking about me like this. Can we be careful in the future not to do this to each other? And he's like, oh, of course, you have my word. So what do you think is going to happen the next time you see Biff? He's going to go out of his way to be nice to you. He's going to make sure, because he's going to monitor what he's going to say in advance. He doesn't want to blurt anything out that's going to upset you. Okay? So this is called confrontation. It doesn't mean you're getting the boxing gloves out and you're going to hit him. It just means you're making him aware of what he wasn't aware of before. And then he's going to change his behavior. Okay? It doesn't always work like that. They may really hate you and want to hurt you, in which case there's really not much you can do other than don't react. Okay? Don't react, because you're just going to make it worse for yourself. Let them be angry. Fine. Keep them at an arm's length. Let them vent if they need to, and then say, all right, I'll talk to you later, and leave. All right. So that's mirroring and how to remove karma when you're in that kind of relationship. Evolutionary partnerships, these are kind of like a fast track to removing karma, but sometimes they can spiral out of control and become like toxic, right? Because they're trying to go so fast and challenge each other. But when they thought about this in the spirit world, they didn't have the ego to contend with. So here, it's a whole different animal, and they likely, may not expect what they encounter. Sometimes they will, but not always. Healing karma. So we talked about it. These kinds of relationships are a best way to heal karma. So go into it with an open heart, and you'll be surprised at how much better your relationships can be, okay, as being your authentic self. Self-love and individual wholeness. So a lot of times people look to find a partner that complements them. How? Let's say they try to look for somebody who has strengths in areas that are weak. But that's not a good recipe, because you're going to have strengths in areas they're weak, and they're going to have strengths in areas you're weak. So you're just going to dominate each other in those areas. And that's not a balanced relationship. So instead of looking for somebody to complement you, how about you work on becoming a whole person first? That way you can love yourself, find yourself being completely, self-accepting. And then that's what you're putting to the universe. So when you encounter a partner, they will be like you. They will be whole. That will be the foundation of a long-term successful relationship. Okay, so the way that you think about yourself is a projection to the universe to bring people like that to you. That's why thinking properly is so important. Soul connections. So we have soulmates. This is kind of like an overused concept here, but it's true. It exists, and we make contracts with these souls, and they're predestined. We try to work on each other's karma when we get here, but like I said, there's always that ego that wasn't accounted for before. You don't know how they're going to react. Um, but the purpose of these soulmate connections is to grow, mutually grow, and support each other. Okay. Twin flames. These types of relationships can be really intense, and they're meant to remove karma very quickly. But like I said, they don't take into account the ego. So these twin flames could go up in flames if they're not careful. All right. This could be like a toxic relationship happening. Future partners. To me, I envision future partners as an elderly couple walking down a beach, holding hands, swinging their arms, looking lovingly at each other while they do that, and just talking. They have no karma between them, like none. They're just enjoying each other's comfort in complete peace. That's where we want to get to. It doesn't mean their other relationships are on solid ground. It just means that between them, they're solid. Okay. They just want to be with each other. And it's not about, one upping the other and winning arguments or anything like that. They probably don't even argue. Okay. Or if they do, the other one backs down right away because they don't want conflict. All right. Conscious communication and vulnerability. So it's really important to be open in a relationship, right? Be honest, non-judgmental. Don't be afraid to tell the other party what you're feeling, because then they will understand where they stand and how to approach it. Okay. If you don't communicate, they're gonna not know, and they might step on your toes. They might hurt you accidentally. So take time to make sure that you talk about the things that are important to you. What is okay? What is not okay? One thing you should do is stay present, mindful when the other person is speaking in this kind of a relationship. So what does that mean? That means actively listening. Okay. Don't be doing two things at once while they're talking to you, because you won't hear what they said. And then you're going to ask them to repeat it again. And that's a lack of respect. Okay. So just make sure that you're listening. You understand what they say. If you have to, ask for clarifying questions. Be vulnerable. This is essential if you want to have an open and authentic relationship. Okay. This means that you can be honest, and you don't have to be afraid that they're going to use what you told them against you in the future. Okay. There's a trust factor there. Physical boundaries. So this is very important to set physical boundaries. So in other words, don't get too close to me. I don't like that. That's like a work relationship thing, maybe more so than a personal relationship. Maintain privacy. So don't go through, your partner or other parties' personal stuff, their phone, their social media accounts, and so forth. That's not okay. There's a barrier, a boundary that should be observed, and their privacy should be maintained. Clear communication about physical intimacy. It's very important to set that straight and let each other know what's okay, what's not okay. And that way, it's going to be much more comfortable going forward. Emotional boundaries. So emotional boundaries are also necessary because it can get very one-sided, where somebody needs a lot of emotional support and the other one doesn't. Then this person is basically like a caregiver to the other person, a shoulder to cry on like every other hour. That's not fair to the person that's not getting that. So you need to set boundaries and tell them, this is more than I signed up for. Maybe you should talk to a therapist, help them out. Protect your own emotional well-being. Set limits on how much support you can give, like we talked about. Maintain your individuality in a relationship. So you can each have separate lives. You don't have to be together every waking moment. That's a little too much. All right. So have your own friends, have your own thoughts, your own beliefs. You don't have to believe what the other person tells you to believe just because they believe it. Do your own critical thinking, form your own ideas, about things. Financial boundaries. So, are you going to have separate finances or completely mingled? Um, just understand how you're going to handle that. If they're separate, are you going to have visibility into each other's accounts? And if they're mingled, are you going to set limits on how much one person can spend or both can spend? Like over $200, you have to let me know first, or over 500, or over 50. Just depends on your budget. Um, okay, and then let's talk about some do's and don'ts. So obviously, you want to communicate openly and honestly. This is the number one thing to do. Let them know where they stand, and they should do the same for you. It's a courtesy. That way, you know what is okay, what is not okay, and you don't infringe on each other's boundaries. Listen actively to understand what the other person is trying to say. So that's active listening. Show appreciation and gratitude. If you come home and the other person has already made dinner, show them gratitude. Thank them. You know, let them know that this is a big thing. Taking that much time to make dinner. Offer to do the dishes. The give and take. Spend quality time together. Spend meaningful time together. Have deep conversations, and maybe do things on the side that you're both interested in. Take a class like a pottery class, or whatever. Underwater basket weaving. There's a good one. Um, Respect each other's boundaries. Understand and honor the other person's personal space and their emotional limits. Okay, so don't infringe when they set boundaries. Like, that's my closet. Don't go in there. Don't go in there. Simple, right? It's my phone. Don't touch it. Simple. All right. Other do's. Support each other's goals and dreams. Like, if your partner wants to go to school, get their master's degree at night, let's say, don't be a naysayer and bog them down. Help them to achieve that, right? Pick up the slack of what needs to be done while they're gone to class so they can focus on achieving their dream. Okay? Be supportive. Be empathetic. Understand where they're coming from. Put yourself in their position. Give them the support they need when they're going through a tough time. Forgive and let go. I'm a big forgive guy because I wasn't forgiving when I was younger. But people can change. So it's really important to be willing to forgive errors. Okay? If you can't do that, then you're not, the relationship is probably not going to be successful. Okay? So, because you'll build up resentment and then you'll start hating the other person. Be trustworthy and reliable. Keep your promises. When you say you're going to do something, do it. When you say you're going to show up someplace at a certain time, be there. Okay? This is basic trust. Maintain your individuality. You can have a separate life. Like we said, you don't have to spend every waking moment with the person. You can have a separate friends, do your own thing. It's good for personal growth. Compromise. Don't try to win. Okay? Because when you win, you could end up sleeping on the couch. Keep that in mind. Winning may be losing. All right? Compromise. Give and take. Show affection. Express warmth and fondness through words, gestures, where it's appropriate, like a non-work relationship. Be warm, be loving. We need that. Have fun together. Do fun things together. That make you laugh. Walks on the beach, walks in the neighborhood. Simple stuff. Don'ts. Don't assume. You know what assuming does, right? It makes an ass out of you and me. ASS, you, me. Okay? So take time to ask questions. Make sure you understand what they're saying. Don't play games or manipulate. That is not coming from your higher self. Gamesmanship and manipulation, very bad. Be direct and honest with your interactions. Don't overly criticize, condemn, and complain constantly. Nobody wants a negative nanny or whatever you call them around the house. If you don't have anything nice to say and you're always negative, that's a downer. That's a very big downer. Focus on solutions, not just problems. Don't keep score. It's like, okay, I've cleaned the bathroom twice this week. Now it's your turn. It's never going to end because now the other person has done things too. They've swept the floor. They've made the bed. It doesn't end. So don't go down the road of keeping score of who's done what, how many times. Just do what needs to get done. Don't gossip or betray confidence. Okay? When they give you a secret, keep the secret. Don't be deceptive and dishonest. That goes without saying. If you're lying and going around and around, then they're not going to be able to trust you. Don't be dishonest or deceptive. Don't take each other for granted. So never assume the other person is going to can do what you think they're going to do. Okay? Don't avoid conflict. Goes back to confrontation. All right? It's okay to have a disagreement or to confront them if you're um, doing it the right way. Okay? Just bringing their attention to it, not trying to attack them. Don't isolate yourself or the other person. So when you're isolating, that means you're not allowing them to see their family or their friends, right? That's not good. If you love them, set them free. Don't resort to personal attacks when disagreements arise. So if you're having an argument about something, um, you know, don't say, well, your ears would look a lot better on an elephant. That's not helpful. Okay? That doesn't have any bearing on what you're talking about. And don't make fun of people's appearances because they don't have control over that. Or they may say, oh, yeah, well, your breath is bad enough to wake the dead. That's not helpful either. You may have to brush your teeth more or floss, but that's not relevant to the argument. Okay, so keep focused on what the content is that you're talking about. Don't stray to personal attacks. Don't neglect your own needs. Okay, it's important to sacrifice. So that's what I want to talk about today. So in summary, successful relationships need mutual respect, trust, open communication, and support from each other. They should promote growth and consciousness, as well as personal and spiritual growth. And this is an opportunity. Keep that in mind. When you have a relationship, every interaction is an opportunity to discover, heal, spiritual evolution, remove karma. Okay? Have that mindset going into every interaction. And set boundaries and maintain them. Stay on the right side. All right? I hope you enjoyed this episode. I think it's a really important one. I hope there's some great information here that you can use. And I look forward to any feedback you have in the comments or thumbs ups. And if you think this was helpful, feel free to share it with whoever you think it would benefit. Thanks for spending some time with me today. We'll talk to you on the next one. Take care.